is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
So I am great.
God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
So I am.
God is great. So great. And I am great. God is love.
God is love.
So I am love.
So I am love.
God is love.
God is love.
So I am love.
So I am.
God is love. Love. And I am love. Put your hands together. God is great, and I am great. God is great, and I am great. God is peace.
God is peace.
So I have peace. God is peace.
God is peace.
So I have peace. God is peace. Peace. Oh, I have peace. Oh, God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
I am great.
God is great.
Is great.
So I am great. God is great. And I know that I am great. I am great. Yeah. Put your hands together. Yeah. God is great. And I know that I am great.
God is great.
God is great, and I know that I am great, and I am great. You are great, we are great. Oh, God is love. Oh, la 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 la. And God is great. So oh, God is love, sweet love. I love you, and love we are love. I know I am. 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 God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
So I am great.
God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
So I am.
God is great. So great. And I am great. God is love.
God is
your hands together, yeah. God is great, and I know that I am great.
God is great.
God is great, and I know that I am great, that I am great. You are great, we are great. Oh, God is love. Oh, la 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 da da da. And God is great. So, oh, God is love, sweet love. I love you, and love, we are love. I know I am. 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 God is great,
God is great.
so I am great.
So I am great.
God is great,
God is great.
so I am great.
So I am.
God is great, so great, and I am great. God is love,
God is love.
so I am love.
So I am love.
God is love,
God is love.
so I am love.
So I am.
God is love, love, and I am love. Put your hands together. God is great, and I am great. God is great, and I am great. God is peace,
God is peace.
so I have peace. God is peace,
God is peace.
so I have peace. God is peace, peace. Oh, I have peace. Oh, God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
I am great.
God is great.
God is great.
So I am great. God is great. And I know that I am great. I am great. Yeah. Put your hands together, yeah. God is great, and I know that I am great.
God is great.
God is great, and I know that I am great, that I am great. You are great, we are great. Oh, God is love. Oh, la is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
So I am great.
God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
So I am.
God is great. So great. And I am great. God is love.
God is love.
So I am love.
So I am love.
God is love.
God is love.
So I am love.
So I am.
God is love. Love. And I am love. Put your hands together. God is great, and I am great. God is great, and I am great. God is peace.
God is peace.
So I have peace. God is peace.
God is peace.
So I have peace. God is peace. Peace. Oh, I have peace. Oh, God is great.
God is great.
So I am great.
I am great.
God is great.
Is great.
So I am great. God is great. And I know that I am great. I am great. Yeah, yeah. Put your hands together, yeah. God is great, and I know that I am great.
God is great.
God is great, and I know that I am great, and I am great. You are great, we are great. Oh, God is love. Oh, la 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 la. And I.
Hello, hello, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with you on this Sunday morning as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God operating in, through, and as us. Let us begin, as we always do, with prayer. And this morning, our prayer champion, Vanessa, will lead us in prayer.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Celebration Spiritual Center. Let's get settled in with a deep breath, breathing in and out. And again, inhaling peace. And exhaling into the present. Here and now, I am knowing that there is one mind, power, and presence that is everything and all of it. One creator, purpose, exacting law, giving of itself constantly, manifesting this world made perfectly to provide, nourish, beautify, delight, and host all manner of good and expansive living. A living that operates in, as, and through each of us, breathing, loving, desiring, discovering, taking, receiving, understanding and believing one and the same we are, yes, all of us, with this unconditional love and infinite light. There is no separation between me and my Creator, between the truth and my story. From here, I allow fear, doubt, and worry to dissolve away, filling the space of my beliefs and expectations with the understanding that my needs are met, my questions are answered, my focus is responded to, and I am loved. I commit to maintain Source as my point of reference. During times when I may feel confused, frustrated, or worried, I know that wherever and whenever I am, the divine harmony is my partner, and the life manifesting within and around me is my friend. In this understanding, I realize a deeper peace, a clearer mind, a more passionate inspiration, a more prosperous vision of where I am and where I am called to be. I feel fully in my body a safety to be, a freedom to move, an invitation to speak, and an ease in stilling myself to receive fully and appreciate authentically. From here, I look forward with enthusiasm and expectation to the Celebration Spiritual Center service, to the exploration and insight that will touch me exactly where I need it to, and support the goodness of my ever-evolving living. This we release to you, Mother, Father, God, knowing it is received and responded to for every being and every circumstance. We expect the good, and we rely on your power to recognize the who, the why, the when, and the where. So thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this time to commune with our Celebration Spiritual Center community and know the truth. Thank you for the here and now to see the truth in action and to know the ways we are loved and prospered. Thank you for this beautiful morning and the seeds we will receive to nurture into the days, weeks, and years ahead as we move forward. In Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
Yes, yes, amen, ashe, and so it is. Thank you, Vanessa, for that powerful prayer, for grounding us in an absolute knowing, for grounding us in the absolute truth, for speaking the word of expectation for what we will co-create together, experience, receive, and allow through the weekend service. Hello again, everyone. Welcome. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you on this day, knowing that all is absolutely well. To our first-time guests, we say hello to you. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome. Whomever brought you here, whatever brought you here, I know there was a good reason that you're here, and so we're grateful that you chose to stream in with us on this Sunday, knowing that you could stream many other services, and we are happy and confident that something will be done, something will be said that will support you in thriving, that will empower you. Now, as a first-time guest, you see here on your screen, this is how you access your digital connection card. Just text the word welcome to 347-472-1078. Just the word welcome, no additional messages are needed, and you'll receive an automated reply with a link. That link takes you to the digital connection card. Click that link, fill out the information. The most important piece of information is your email, because that will get you on the mailing list. And then you will receive the weekly email that goes out on every Friday, and any other emails that are necessary to share with the community to keep everyone informed of what's going on. We also encourage you to like us on, if you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Threads, and still Twitter. We're on Twitter as well. But again, we are happy that you're here, and we're confident that you will receive something that is beneficial for your life. So now is a wonderful time to check in on our news and updates. For our first-time guests, you'll find many of the things that we share here in the news and updates. You'll also find them echoed in the newsletter, and there's some things that you want to have close access to in your inbox. So let's get into that. We are in the final Sunday of our Truth Sunday Masterclass. We have spent this month studying the New Thought classic, The Mental Equivalent by Emmett Fox. So if you're joining us for the very first time, you may actually want to go back and go back to the first Sunday of this month and watch that first class, because today is going to be a review and some action steps related to what we've studied. But it has been a wonderful time. This is a short yet powerful text, short yet powerful teaching. And I trust that it's been beneficial to you all. As most of you know, our format is a little different when we're in masterclass mode, so we won't be hearing from Soul 21 today, so that we can have more time to focus on the text and focus on the teaching. Every Wednesday, we gather together at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Momentum Prayer Call. The Momentum Prayer Call is a wonderful way to continue the momentum that we begin our week with here on Sunday with the weekend service. It's also a wonderful way to jumpstart your day, to start your day intentionally with affirmative prayer. Remembering and recognizing that affirmative prayer is a definite movement of mind and a definite direction to accomplish a definite end or a definite purpose. And as we are doing that and doing that for ourselves individually, we are also holding that consciousness and space for every soul that is connected to CSC in any way, for our nation and for our world. You see the information there on the screen. It's very easy to connect via phone. And you also see that there's a playback number. We record each prayer each week, and so the most recent prayer is always available. You can call that playback number right now, enter the code and wait, and the most recent prayer will play. That's a wonderful way to tap into the vibration of prayer when you need it most. Now, if you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer request to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. That email is received by all of our prayer champions, and it is also received by Pastor Yolanda and myself. Collectively, we are continually holding the entire CSC community in prayer, knowing the absolute best and only the best for you, but we recognize that you may have a specific prayer request. We recognize that you may want to put someone's name in the prayer basket, if you will, and so we are happy to hold that space with you, hold that knowing with you, and we also encourage you, when the prayer is answered, when the shift happens, email us and let us know about that as well, because we love hearing how good prayer works. We encourage everyone to invite someone to check out the stream, to check out the weekend service at CSC. You can do that by sending a previous stream, a link to a sermon, a link to a song, a link to a meditation, anything related to CSC, maybe even just a post from Instagram, and let people know about this good thing that's happening in Brooklyn, and encourage them to check us out here any Sunday at 11 a.m. We are always looking for those that are looking for us. We do not evangelize or do any of those things, but we recognize that the powerful law of attraction is real, right? And so as we stand in a certain way, we are always going to attract those that are in alignment with who and what CSC is. Each month, we are highlighting a series of the month as we are in the 10th year of Celebration Spiritual Center. And so this month we're highlighting the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, a series that is inspired by the book of the same title by Catherine Ponder. I encourage you, if you have not this month, if you have not tapped into it, and I encourage you to tap into that series, because it is wonderful, a wonderful way to continue your understanding and deepen your understanding of what prosperity is. There's some inspiring stories and inspiring readings, and as I've shared each week, PY closes out that series with her message, I Dare You to Prosper, which is powerful. And that concludes our news and updates for this Sunday. And so that means we have the wonderful opportunity to go within as we are led in the meditation experience by Pastor Yolanda.
Yes, it is time for meditation. The opportunity that we take together every Sunday to do more than just read the words. It is an opportunity to experience God alive and well within ourselves. As I like to say, you can read all of the sacred texts, and we encourage you to read and to study and to integrate. But it is only until you have the direct experience of God within yourself that you know the words that you are reading are real. that you can experience the truth for yourself. And so we take time every Sunday to collectively bring our focus and our awareness and our attention and our energy to an affirmative thought and to feel that thought alive and well within us. This month, all month, we've been affirming something powerful. I allow peace and prosperity to come to me. A very short but impactful understanding is that we allow peace. We don't have to work or hustle or grind or be better or know more. We just have to be willing and open to receive peace and prosperity. That takes all the pressure off of us to know more, do more, be more. And it brings us back to the awareness of our birthright, which is peace and prosperity. You were born knowing that peace was yours. You were born with an awareness and a understanding of prosperity in your cells. And along the way, some things happened that may have made you forget. Some experiences happened that may have clouded your ability to feel it, to know it. Some things may have happened. And we allow ourselves to forgive ourselves and set ourselves free from any past. You know, one of the things that my Pilates instructor brought to my attention recently was something that we both learned in yoga teacher training about the experience of how we carry ourselves in the world. The front body is usually the persona that we put out into the world, the way our ego presents itself, and the way we guard and protect ourselves from things. The back body, or the subtle body, is our true self. It is the guiding force that is holding us, supporting us. And many times we've closed ourselves off and we've closed our heart. This meditation allows you to sit in an awareness that you are supported, held, grounded by God, and that you can open to receive. Open your heart and allow peace and prosperity to come to you where it is asked. Love waits on welcome, not on time. The moment you welcome it in, the moment you allow peace, the moment you allow prosperity, it is yours. So let's take this knowledge, let's take this energy into our meditative time. Let's prepare now. Find yourself in a comfortable seat, but allowing your palms to rest comfortably on the tops of your thighs. Noticing now you want to sit up a little straighter because you realize that something is holding you. Palms are resting. Look around the room. Notice where you are. Seated upright, feet flat on the floor, heart available. You are safe right where you are. And from this place of knowing, and from this place of surrender, and from this place of allowing, allow your eyelids to close. And just notice the breath right where it is. The ease at which we breathe or recognize the breath is the same energy and focus that we bring to allow peace. We breathe peace in and peace out. We breathe in prosperity and we release it to make room for more. Just notice the breath. Beautiful, everyone. Whether the breath appears to be deep or shallow, it matters not. We're just in gratitude that the breath is flowing. So let's take conscious control of the breath now. For we can choose to send the breath and the energy and the life force wherever we want. As we focus our attention low in the belly, that breath automatically drops down and relaxes us more. And together, let's take a beautiful breath in for a count of 4, holding for 4, and then releasing for a count of 4. Together, breathing in. Holding for a count of 4. And relax the jaw and sigh it out. Count of 4. Again, inhaling. Holding. And exhaling. Relax the jaw. Sigh it out. From that deep breath, we allow it to rise up, expanding the front and the sides, just filling up. Holding. And sigh it out. Inhaling all the way up, filling up. Now sending that breath to the back. Connecting to the life force that is holding us. Hold it there. And sigh it out. In through the low belly, up through the mid belly. And now rising, allowing that breath to rise to the heart. Hold it there. And without collapsing, sigh it out. There's a silence at the end of the breath, an opening and receptivity as we inhale again. All the way up to the top, to the heart chakra. Hold it there. And whatever thoughts have entered the mind, unwanted, we sigh them out. Let's practice a few rounds of that deep inhalation, expanding, opening. When you get to the top, holding. And when you're ready, this time, nice slow count of 6. And again, inhaling for a count of 6. Holding for 4. Close the lips. Exhale through the nose. Count of 6. This will be our form of breath work and breathing for the remainder of our time. In and out through the nostrils. Nice slow count of 6. Each round bringing our understanding and experience of peace a little closer. Each round clearing out and making room for more prosperity. All based on our willingness to allow. Now let's send that energy and relaxation all throughout our body. Take your focus and place it on the feet, And where you focus, your energy goes. Notice the feet. Maybe you raise the heels or wiggle the toes. Stop the movement. Exhale, relax the feet. Energy gathered underneath the feet, the soles of the feet. That energy that flows up through Mother Earth, grounding us and holding us. Send that energy across the ankles now. Relax the ankles. Energy flows across the shins and calves. That energy carries our peace and our prosperity. Feel it now. Relax the shins and the calves. We align our will with the will of love, light and truth, feeling that energy flow across the knees. Relax the knees. Our peace and our prosperity cannot be stopped. We feel that same energy flowing across our thighs, our glutes, our hamstrings. Relax the thighs, the glutes, and the hamstrings. Maybe we send a little more relaxation into the hip sockets. Relax the hip sockets as well. Beautiful, everyone. Feeling that energy and relaxation, we surrender the lower half of our body, making more room for energy to flow and Kundalini to rise. From the base of our spine, we breathe in. We exhale and we allow. Inhale up. Exhale and allow. Inhale up. Exhale and allow. And up. Exhale and allow. Inhaling up. Exhaling and allowing. And up. And up. And out the crown of our heads. In your mind's eye, or experience it in your body, an opening and an alignment. Imagine the energy gathered above us all, connecting us all. There is no spot where this peace and prosperity are not, because there is no spot where God is not. From this knowingness, allow it to flow back down through the crown, across the third eye, down the throat, across the shoulders, down the arms, and out to the fingertips. In this moment, scan your body. Notice if there's anywhere that you're holding on, or if there's anywhere that needs extra love and support. Send the breath there now. Send the peace there now. Allow the prosperity and the well-being there now. As we prepare for our silent time, you may turn the palms up to receive, or turn the palms down to ground. Either way, feel the connection. And your willingness is now being reflected in and throughout every cell of your body. We magnetize, we allow peace and prosperity. I will monitor the time. You take the inward journey. If the mind wanders, it becomes active, it's okay. It's just doing what the mind does. We make the choice to bring it back to our affirmative thought. And release and allow peace and prosperity to come to us now. With our eyes still closed, we enjoy the experience that we've created for ourselves. With our eyes still closed, we take a mental picture of the feeling tone, of the body posture, and of the knowing. And we bring that back with us. With our eyes still closed, we recognize there is no hurry, no need to hustle or grind. For peace and prosperity is ours right here and right now. So as we prepare to return, plant the palms on the tops of the thighs and take a nice, slow, deep inhale, dropping that breath nice and deep. Expanding, filling completely up. And releasing when you're ready. Coming to stillness. Inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale as we release the shoulders back and down. Inhale up. Exhale, releasing the shoulders back and down. And one more time. Inhale up. Exhale, releasing the shoulders back and down. Pausing to notice that the peace is still here, even throughout the movement. Bring the palms together at heart center. Bow the chin towards the fingertips. Notice the opening, the base of the neck, and all the way down the spine. Nice and easy, allow your eyelids to open. Nice, soft, gentle focus. No strain on the eyes or our experience. Inhale, raise the chin, raise the gaze, keeping the soft focus. Exhale. Namaste.
Yes, yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Well, as I shared earlier, we are in the final week of the masterclass. Get What You Want, Use the Power of Your Mind to Shape Your Reality, as we study The Mental Equivalent by Emmett Fox. If you're joining us for the very first time, I encourage you to go back to week 1 and watch that. It's powerful. We go line by line through the text. You can get the text, you can Google it and find copies for free online to read, or you can purchase your own copy. But what we're going to be doing today is reviewing the 4 chapters and then also giving you an action plan to actually make what we've been reading and studying actionable and put it into practice. Now, before we get into the review of the 4 chapters, well, we want to share something with you that we both think is very impactful and also really speaks to a lot of what we've been reading and studying this month. You all may remember that back in October, we shared that a member of our community, Teresa Luck, and her family lost their home due to a fire. It was completely destroyed, and we shared that there was a GoFundMe campaign, and we made a donation, and we encouraged others to do the same that were able to do that. And so Teresa sent us a letter, and so we want to share this letter with you, and I encourage you to just take a breath and really take her words in. Dear Pastor Greg, Pastor Yolanda, and the CSC family, I want to thank you from every part of my heart for your generous donation, prayers, and support during a very challenging time in my life. I want to share some things with everyone. Have you ever almost tripped and fell, and in that moment, miraculously, you got your bearing, but you knew if you would have fallen, you would have been terribly hurt, and you gave a sign of relief, and woo, thank you, God, I did not fall. Well, the point is that even though it was a terrible fire, and yes, I lost every material thing I owned, and yes, I was extremely traumatized in the moment, I was not home. I got a call from my daughter screaming, "Where are you? The house is on fire." But I could not get Zion, my son, out of the house, and the phone went dead. Heading home, the not knowing gripped me. I could go on and on with the story, but as the firefighters were doing what they do, and the neighbors were doing what they were doing, everyone was doing. I saw some friends arrive, and they never asked me what I wanted them to do, and good, they didn't, because I didn't even know at the time. They saw a need and just started handling things. Lessons, keep loving your friends. It was such a beautiful thing. Friends, besties. I looked up, and another friend was there, and she had a plate of some good food. She opened the tray and said, "Eat, Teresa. Lesson, enjoy your food." And the cooks that make it and cook just for you. It is nothing like some delicious food. Okay, the Salvation Army came and did what they do. And they said, do you have a place to go? I said, yes, I can go to my mother's apartment. But then I said, OMG, the key was in the drawer in my bedroom. And I looked at all of the furniture piled up to around 6 feet in the backyard and thought, God, how are we going to find that key? And my son, Zion, oh yes, when I got out of the Uber running down the block, I spotted his afro and cried, he made it out. He went outside, and in less than 10 minutes, like the quote, a needle in a haystack, he lifted the key and said, I got it. And we all said, thank you. My mother never gave up her apartment. She lives in Maryland. Silver lining. We had the key so we could get in the apartment that night. We had a place to go, a place to sleep that night. Give thanks for your bed. And a place to live. What a blessing. Lesson. Appreciation. In your home, use your good dishes. Use everything. Wear everything in your closet. Use those perfumes. Enjoy each room. Give thanks and gratitude for the bathroom, the living room, the bedroom, all rooms. Really feel it in your soul. What a gift it is. Confirmation. God got me. I remember I asked Pastor Yolanda for an affirmation for my son Zion years ago. I used to be nervous about him going out, and she gave me this. Zion is safe and secure in the loving arms of God. I am safe and secure in the loving arms of God. I moved deeper and closer to God. My faith increased, my devotion and my heartfelt love, because when I sat back and thought about everything, I was so moved. All I could say is thank you. Another gift and blessing. I honestly can go on and on about the lessons and the blessings, the silver linings, the opportunities for continued growth. The bottom line is, I tripped, but I never fell. God, my ancestors, and guardian angels had everything covered. And all of you, angels, right here on earth, for the much love, tenderness, thoughtfulness, kindness, generous donation. I am grateful then, now, and forever. Lastly, to be able to do life with family and friends by my side is simply awesome and amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Love always, always. Teresa Luck. P.S. I am still writing thank you cards, and each one I write, I'm reminded of love. Enjoy all the love in your world. Whew. The timing of us receiving this letter, to be able to share it now. There's so many things. It's a whole word. We could just say goodbye.
See you next week.
Right now. And say see you next week. Yeah. Teresa is embodying and demonstrating to us and reminding us what's possible, how we can show up in our lives in the midst of true and real crisis, right? Not some little thing. And to have that awareness, I tripped, but I didn't fall. Woo, that preaches.
It preaches. There's so much beauty in what the gift she gave us by sending us an account of her experience. You notice some things that she did with that. She gave us enough information to know that it was bad, but she didn't stay in the darkness of it.
Right.
She didn't deny the darkness of it,
Right.
but she brought her focus, her mental attention to what was true
Right.
and what was real.
Yep.
She tripped, but she did not fall. She brought her mind back to what she studied. With us and on her own, she brought herself and her family. And here's the other piece. She allowed herself to receive
Yeah.
in ways that she didn't even know she needed. It is all of that that we master in our lives.
Yeah.
And while we want and we receive things, what we want is peace in and under any circumstance. And it was powerful. Like, we both cried yesterday and didn't know if we were going to get through it today. I didn't. But we thank Teresa. We thank all of
Yes.
you for your generosity.
Yes.
As PG said, we made a donation on behalf of the community. And those of you that were able to, we really appreciate your giving hearts.
Yeah.
And we will forever be grateful to this community for the way you love each other,
Yeah.
the way you support each other. And many of you didn't even know each other until there was a CSC. And so that we are grateful.
Absolutely.
We love you, Teresa, and thank you for
Yes.
being an example
Yeah.
of how to master and live these teachings.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that said, let's review a little bit
Let me get
of
a
the,
tissue.
let's review and tap into some pieces of the text. We can't cover it all, but we pulled out some important highlights, some things that we can talk about. So we'll go through 4 things for each chapter and elaborate on them a little bit. So the first chapter is the mental equivalent, right, where we start to understand something important about this idea of the mental equivalent. And in order to first accept anything else that we talk about in this text, is to first know and appreciate and remember that we live in a mental world. To know that is the key, right? I'm thinking about the Kabbalion, right, which says that the all is mind, right? It's important for us to understand that that's where we're actually operating from, that that's where the power is. Everything that's physical, that we can see, taste, touch, smell, is a result of something, a non-physical cause, right? And that's actually not a deep thought in terms of, or a spiritual thought, right? We know that this couch we're sitting on, somebody thought about it, right? Before this couch could exist, it had to be a thought first, and the materials that were used to make, we know that. And so just as we know that about things that are trivial like this, it is actually true of all of our experience. Okay, so we know that we live in a mental world, and to know that is the key to life. And so whatever enters into your life is but the material expression of some belief in your own mind. And one of the things we said in the first week, which is important, is that this is coming out of your subconscious mind. And most of these things you are absolutely not aware of, and you did not place them there consciously, deliberately. You probably received them from your environment, right? So when we hear that, this is oftentimes where people can use New Thought to start to blame and shame. Whatever enters your life is but the material expression of some belief in your own mind. True. And many of the beliefs that are in our own mind come from, again, our family, our environment, our culture, our cities, our countries, there's so many different things that start to inform what those beliefs are. And most of them we're actually not even conscious that they're there running. Anything that you want in life, you must furnish a mental equivalent. Without a mental equivalent, it cannot come. So this is the next piece, right? We're understanding, that it's the non-physical is the cause of all that is physical. Experiences in my life are actually based on a non-physical cause that I may or may not be aware of. But I recognize now that I have the opportunity to consciously create by consciously furnishing or creating a mental equivalent, because now I know where the cause is, right? Like, imagine if you just walked into a room and dominoes were falling, right? And you're like, how did this happen? But as soon as somebody shows you where that began and who flipped the first domino, right, then you know you could do the same thing. It's like, because I know where it begins, right? If you were just entering into it's just dominoes are falling, you don't know why, you don't know the cause. And so this is the beautiful thing that we get to embrace and understand, that we can furnish a mental equivalent. And without a mental equivalent, the things that we want in our life cannot come. wishing, hoping, talking about it with your friends. That's not it.
The other beautiful thing, if there is an unwanted already that you become aware of, you can furnish a new mental equivalent to replace that one, the unconscious one. And so we're never stuck. We're never falling or down. The moment we become aware that there is an unwanted condition, experience, circumstance, we have in that moment the power to choose and create a new mental equivalent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so the secret of successful living is to build up the mental equivalent that you want and to get rid of or expunge the mental equivalent that you do not want, right? And it really is that simple, right?
It's that simple.
Right? And if we start to think of it that way, right? It starts to change things, right? That, I work from mind and replace, right? I don't go out here. If I want money, I don't go out here, start working hard and telling my boss that I'll work extra hours and work overtime. And, maybe if I can get these extra hours, then I can have enough money to go on a vacation or do things or buy stuff. No, I want more money. I build the mental equivalent of increase.
Right.
See? That just helps somebody. Okay. So that's kind of the heart of what this first piece is really talking about, right? Giving us a sense of the mental world, right? That the material world is not the power, right? It's the non-physical that's the power. That's what cause. We have the ability to operate at the level of cause. And the secret is build up the mental equivalent for what we want, get rid of or expunge the mental equivalent that we do not want.
Right. And the moment you focus in on the new mental equivalent and hold the focus, that's the mental equivalent.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next chapter, universal polarity, right? This is supporting us in starting to understand what's required to build that mental equivalent. And it starts with this first idea that everything is produced by two other things. Anything that is ever produced anywhere in the universe is produced by two other things. That is the law of polarity, right? And so this is important because as we say we need to furnish a mental equivalent, then we recognize that we must bring two things together to actually create that third thing, which is our mental equivalent. And again, that's law. And that law we see happening on the physical plane as well as the non-physical, right? As above, so below. As below, so above. And so that's the correspondence. And so we understand that, of course, when it comes to humans being created, right? That two things come together to create it. And in the text, he also talks about the idea that every spiritual tradition, right, has a trinity, right, to creating a third. And so for the mental equivalent then, in building up of thought, the two poles are clarity of thought and warmth of feeling, the knowledge and the feeling, right? And clarity of thought is not necessarily specificity.
That's important.
Right? But a clear knowing, right? And so again, knowledge and feeling, right? Clear knowing and feeling.
And sometimes when we are in the process of creating specificity, it is out of fear that we can't have it. And so we try to control it. We try to put in all these conditions under which it has to happen and when it's going to happen. And clarity of thought, knowing, doesn't necessarily require specificity.
Right.
It is a knowing that there is a power. It is a knowing that it's got me. Right? It's the feeling tone of that knowing that it's got me. Right?
You know, we use analogies like this often, but if I decide I want to take a trip from here to New York to Los Angeles, right? Now, there are a lot of ways for that to happen. The knowing is I will be in Los Angeles on a specific date. But see, we can get specific and start to think about, well, how do I need to get there? And, I need this amount of money. And, okay, well, I got to get a plane ticket early. If I don't get a plane ticket by this time, then
it's going to be too expensive.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, well, I could take the train, but where does the train go? Well, how much does it cost to rent a car? Well, I don't want to drive. And, right, well, somebody needs to go. Right. And so now we've just gotten into all of this specificity and got ourselves into fear, doubt, and worry and really doing God's job Right? Because the other thing, right, you talk about the idea of being specific, is it also means that we don't really trust God as the all that is. And we're trying to convince God of something, which we don't need to do that. We don't need to bargain. We don't need to try to make a deal with God, right? We just know whatever we know and hold in that knowing, it is. Right? It absolutely is.
And so the feeling tone is gratitude and excitement about being on the receiving end of what you want. Right? And it's not an overdoing it, because that usually is because you're still in some fear and you're trying to force yourself to be excited. There's just a peaceful knowing.
And so, what we call feeling in connection with thought is really interest. Feeling is not excitement. True feeling in thought is interest. And as I shared in the second week, this reminds me of Hallowell in working with the law. Interest and attention, and I just call it interested attention, is what's required, right, to develop the mental equivalent, right? Providing interested attention in who it is that we want to be, what it is that we want to do, what it is that we want to have, the experience. We bring that. That's the feeling and the feeling tone.
And how many times have we had interested attention about a whole bunch of things that did not benefit us? Right? You get interested attention around what's going on social media, or this scandal, or this thing happens. Interested attention. It's not that hard to create, right?
Nope.
You read these books and you think, oh, it's going to be hard for me to create this interested attention. Well, you got your shows that you're interested in every week, right? And that's not no heat, no judgment. It's just that it's really easy to create interested attention. We don't give ourselves credit that we have the power to do this easily. We get interested in attention around what's not working, and then we talk about it, and we keep talking about it. Right? So we have the ability to create this, to do this, to use this tool. And why? Because we are held by a loving, graceful, powerful presence that wouldn't make it hard for us to live our lives.
Right. What if life is easy, ladies and gentlemen? So, the last piece, which we've already spoken to, get the thought of what you want as clear as you can. Be definite, but not too specific. And further in that chapter, he writes about the idea of outlining, which is what a lot of people do. And again, that means we're trying to convince God. That means we're actually, we would need to build a new mental equivalent around who and what God is, right? Actually would be a good use of our time, because we're still thinking about the stingy man in the sky, right?
Santa Claus.
Yeah, right. All of that, right? The convincing and bringing lists, and I'll be good if you do this for me. Yeah.
And we understand how that got established for us all.
There's one of those unconscious mental equivalents.
Right? It got established, and we don't want to spend our time, our interested attention on why it got established so much.
Right.
As now knowing that it's there, and we want to replace that old idea of God with something that works for us now.
And so we have chapter 3, building a mental equivalent. And so the first idea, you always demonstrate what you habitually have in your mind, right? What ideas are you hanging around, right? And are you aware of that, right? And not to jump too far ahead, but when we start to think about what it is that you want to create in your life, right? You're going to have to be honest about the things that you have habitually hung around, right? Thoughts and ideas that you realize now, oh, this is not in alignment with where I say I want to go, or what I say I want to do, be, or have. But I also see now how I had interested attention. And so that was habitually in my mind. We always demonstrate what we habitually have in our mind. This is also why I say, Jim Rohn, I appreciate the quote, but actually I believe that our life reflects the 5 ideas we hang around, not the 5 people that we spend the most time with.
The 5 people come as a result of the 5 ideas.
Exactly. And so that's what Fox is saying here. What you habitually have in your mind is what you're going to demonstrate. So choose 5 ideas to habitually have in your mind, right? This is why I listen to the same 5 subliminal recordings every day, starting with gratitude and things that remind me that it will find me, the things that I need. I keep a habitual conversation with those ideas and realities that I want to demonstrate. Right.
It's so funny. We were laughing about it this morning. He was talking about, I have my morning mirror playlist that I play when I'm in the bathroom, and we were laughing about that because there was a song on there, a Beyonce song. He's like, "Yeah, and I know you're gonna listen to that this morning." I was like, "Why are you all up in my morning process?" But the point is, we each have our process that we do. It's almost like I don't even think about it anymore. I go in there, I prepare myself, I turn on my recordings, I know what's on that list because I've curated it for myself and my thought patterns. And I allow it to play. So it doesn't have to be hard things to establish a new habit.
And this is one of the reasons for those of you that have been able to take the 4T prosperity class with us. There's a certain point in the class where we ask everyone to not watch TV for the remainder of the duration of the class, right? And it's not because TV is bad. You could do what you want, right? You could, just because we're asking you to do that, you don't have to do it, right? This is not a cult.
Thank God.
Right? But what we understand is that if you're in a prosperity class seeking to develop a prosperity consciousness and demonstrate something in your life, we understand that you always demonstrate what you habitually have in mind. And so we know that we unconsciously expose ourselves to so many different things when we're, watching TV and the news. And so it's good to take a break. Right? It's good to take a social media break. It's good to do those things simply because we recognize that we want to put the focus of our attention in a certain way and we understand how it works.
Absolutely. And if you are trying to become a new person, you might have been unconsciously putting things in that you don't even realize are impacting the thoughts that you have. Right? If you're trying to call in love, you aren't sitting there watching reality shows that talk about how bad relationships are. And you like them or whatever. They might be your quote unquote guilty pleasure or whatever, but you don't realize what it's feeding. Right?
Absolutely.
That's all we're saying. We're saying just scan your mental landscape and your home in that way, your mental home, and see what you're putting in there. What furniture are you putting in there?
Yep. Now, of course, the quote, my favorite quote from this chapter, because it's repeated over and over again in different ways, right? If you want to change some condition in your life, you must change your thought about it and keep it changed. Then the condition will change accordingly. And Fox writes, he's like, we all know how to change our minds, and we've done it. The problem is we don't keep it changed. Right? We come to the weekend service, right? We changed our minds in this hour and a half, right? In this moment, right? But then what about the rest of the day? What about the rest of the week? What about the rest of the month? And so on and so on, right? So it's not enough to just keep it changed, right? New thought. We think a new thought, right? To create a new reality. But we have to think the new thought, change our thought, and then keep it changed. And that's really what doing the work is, right? All of the things that we do and the tools that we have are designed to support us in keeping it changed.
And keeping it changed.
That's all.
That's it.
That's all.
Right?
Right. And so then even being here in this service is a part of that process, right? I come to CSC every week because I'm endeavoring to keep my mind changed. That's why I come every Sunday.
No judgment.
Right.
That, I forgot that thing. Oh, I'm back on track now. Why do you think part of the reason we teach and preach and all of this is because we can help ourselves keep our mind changed.
Keep it changed.
Keep it changed.
Real talk. And then he says the secret lies in focus. We've used that word a couple times already in this review. And this is where he gives us that wonderful image of thinking about a photographer, right? That if you were going to take a picture of, I think he says a vase with a flower, bouquet in the text, but anything that you were going to take a picture of. And so you're clear, I'm taking a picture of these flowers, and then all of a sudden you move it. If the photographer takes the picture, you take the picture, it might be blurry, or you successfully move it and replace it with a book. Well, now you got a picture of a book and not the flowers that you said you were going to change. right? And so this is incredibly important, right? We've seen it many times, right? They want to change 1,000 things, and I'm sure as you've been reading this text and studying, you're thinking about all the different things. Oh, what's my mental equivalent going to be? What's my mental equivalent going to be? It's going to need to be one thing,
At least to begin with.
right? Because that's how you focus. Now, one of the things I love, Abraham Hicks articulates it, that once you have manifested that thing and brought that into reality, then to maintain it, it's gratitude, right? Bringing gratitude to that thing, and now you can work on a new thing, right? But that's how it works, right? Because then all of a sudden, the more things that you manifest and co-create in your life, then I'm grateful for my life and I'm living in gratitude, which is sustaining the good that's present as I now bring something new in to add to that pile of gratitude.
Absolutely. And it's not, again, we want to keep this simple, right? Complexity is of the ego, of Course in Miracles said. We want to make it simple because as you're doing these things, then you go off and you spin out into the worry, doubt, and fear. You need to make it simple. It's not to question your intelligence.
Right.
It is so that you can succeed at it.
Absolutely. 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 And so you must allow a train of relevant thoughts to have free play in your mind, one leading naturally to the next, but they must all be positive, constructive, and harmonious, and appertaining to your desire, and you must think quietly and without effort. I've made all of these pieces bold because it really colors and again gives us a sense of what this process is, because one of the things that we read in this chapter, it's not about our willpower, right? It's not about tensing up. It's not about making it happen, right? What's so interesting as we look at the stages, as Reverend Michael Beckwith teaches, right? We have the first stage, which is the victim stage, the second stage, which is the manifester stage, but the make it happen stage. It's an important process of our development, but we're actually supposed to move through that stage to get to through me and then as me, right? So it's important that we're not in I'm making it happen, right? This is all about I'm allowing it. I've surrendered to it. So terms like free play, allow relevant thoughts to have free play in your mind. Right. And one leading naturally to the next. That's the law of attraction.
Absolutely.
Thought to thought to thought.
Right. And if you start out with those kinds of thoughts that are supportive, then another thought that's supportive will come. And we all know that we've been on the other side of it, right? We've had one thought, one worry, and then the next thing there's another one, and another one, and another one. And then, I'm going to speak for myself, then you can't get out of bed, right? Because that energy has flown in the direction that you didn't want it to flow in, right? Again, no heat, no judgment. It's just understanding how powerful the mind is and how these laws really work.
Right. And so then we make sure that, and we're conscious that, okay, once we understand what our desire is and we've chosen it and we know the mental equivalent that we're building, right, our thoughts must be positive. They must be constructive versus destructive, right? Harmonious, right? Which is interesting, right? Unifying, because sometimes, wanting money is not a bad thing, but if you're trying to steal from somebody, right, that's not a harmonious thought, right? That's not unifying, right? And appertaining to your desire, and then here we go. You must think quietly, right? Hush your mouth principle. Actually, I believe it's at the beginning of this chapter where he talks about don't tell anybody about what it is that you're working on, right? It's important. Think quietly and without effort, right?
Strain.
Right.
No hustle.
Ease and flow.
Ease and flow, right?
Yes.
And positive is not, it's really just the opposite of wherever your unwanted thinking has taken you,
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so we're not trying to just be positive. Positive affirmations are a tool.
Right.
We're putting our focus on the wanted.
Right. And that idea, even we can think about where prosperity according to hope, right? That it puts you in the direction of being optimistic, right? Of believing that things work out for you, right? That this will work out, right? That's what positive means, right? That it's putting you in that direction, right?
Right.
Very important.
And
yeah.
if you've had a gratitude journal or you keep a gratitude journal, that's a good way to get you in the energy and flow, and just to go back and look at the examples of gratitude. Again, we want to keep this simple, not because you're not intelligent.
Right.
You're really intelligent. We want to help you hone that skill to use it in your favor.
Absolutely. 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 And so then we have chapter 4, maintaining the new equivalent. Do not be in a hurry to select your problem. Take your time. Do not tell anyone you are doing this. I just referred to that. So it's this chapter. So as we're starting to think about, as I said, you may have already thought of 1,000 things that you want to work on, 1,000 problems that you want to shift, right? Do not be in a hurry to select it, right? Take your time. Do not tell anyone you are doing this, right? I'm reminded again of coming into the prosperity class, thinking I knew what I wanted, right? And then actually realizing that the problem that needed to be replaced was unforgiveness, right? Yes, I had a list of my things that I wanted, and it was actually by putting the focus of my attention on forgiveness and doing that work that I then beautifully and wonderfully received all that I wanted, right? Without outlining, without being specific, and then also receiving more than I ever could have imagined, right? Because that set me on a path, and oh my God, yeah, I was thinking way too small.
And that's usually what's happening. We're thinking way too small about our lives and what we can have. Here's another thought. If you have a list of 1,000,000 things, write them all down and leave it. That way you feel like I've been heard, that part of me that once all of this has been heard, I have it. And then I'm going to wait to see what is really the thing right now. Right? So you honor the desire for all. You put that aside, and then you wait for what is my first thing to focus on now. Okay? So it's not like we're saying you can't have it all. We're saying that really, in truth, you probably don't even know how much you're worthy of having.
Right. That's real. That's real. I'm seeing the question, does it have to be a problem? So I would say yes and no, right? So the context of what he's writing about, he's using this word, it could be any unwanted experience. Now, this takes us back to the beginning. Because if you're aware of what it is that you want, on some level, you're experiencing the opposite of it now. And so you actually have to tap into some degree, you don't have to go too deep, of understanding what are the things that have created what you don't want, right? Because that's telling you what you want to replace. As I said, I was operating in a great deal of unforgiveness and really self-righteousness, right? Because I had been wronged, right? But I was also mad and resentful. And that was the stuff that was standing in the way of what I wanted. I didn't think I had a problem. Right. But then I became aware of, oh, this is what's standing in the way. This is what I need to replace. Right. And so that's where that word problem is being used as a challenge, or just an unwanted thing.
An unwanted thing. Because sometimes, in New Thought, people, they do bury their head in the sand. They're like, oh, no, nothing's wrong. But we have to be honest with ourselves that I do believe I'm unworthy of love. Now, that doesn't mean you spend the rest of your time there.
Right.
It means that I acknowledge that, right? So that I can now focus on what I want, a loving, harmonious relationship.
Next, take your problem and change your mind concerning it, and keep it changed for a month, and you will be astonished at the results you will get, right? What this is really saying is it doesn't take long, right? But you have to keep it changed. Consistently, right?
Yeah,
right? So it could be 21 days, it could be 30 days, it could be 90 days, it could be a year, right? Some of the things, some of those subconscious thoughts we have are so deeply implanted, right? That we have to then use our mental vigilance, right? And continue to pivot to what we want, right? We may have some, particularly from our family, some very practiced ways around thinking about money. And you've heard money doesn't grow on trees more than you've heard Pastor Yolanda and Pastor Greg say you are prosperous, right? And so that just may take, time, but but learning that practice of pivoting to continue. I'm continuing to turn. I'm keeping my mind changed. I'm keeping my mind changed. Yes, that was true. Yes, that came from mama and daddy and grandma, whoever it may be, but God bless the child that's got her own, right? Her own mind, her own thoughts,
Absolutely.
her own knowing, right? And so from that vantage point, I'm bringing my mind back to this is what I'm choosing to know. This is what I'm choosing to think. This is what I'm planting in my mind.
Right. And many times when you hear us say it could take 90 days, 6 months, a year, or however much time it could take, you're like, well, I don't want to take that much time. Well, you're spending time anyway. You're every day that you wake, you're in time. As an eternal being, you are outside of time. But every day that you're in a human body is time, right? So use it to your advantage.
Exactly.
Use it to your advantage. And don't get hung up in the when
Yep.
will it show up,
Right.
right? It's, I'm learning this new mental habit that I then, once I get it, I got it.
Yeah.
And then I can apply it here, here.
And then it's working automatically.
Then it's
right?
working automatically
Right.
after a while.
Yeah. Real talk. I love that. True activity, this is one of those other beautiful things that comes from this chapter. True activity is always from within outward. False activity tries to work from without inward. If you are working from within out, your work is alive and you will be productive. If you're working from outside inward, your work is dead and it will have a bad effect on you. Right? So this is that thing I talked, just kind of referenced it earlier, right? Oh, I need more money. Things are showing up. My kids have these trips and my son is playing all these sports and I got to buy equipment. And right. And so you're like, how can I make more money? And then most often we all do, right? We start to think of the tangible ways. Oh, I can get more hours at work. Oh, I have things I can sell. Oh, I could, right. We start going to all of this.
Increase on my credit line.
Right. And so that's working from the outside inward, and that work is dead, right? That work is agreement with struggle. That work is an agreement with hustle and grind. And yes, you may get the results, but there's going to be unwanted effects, right?
You're going to be exhausted.
Right.
Mentally, spiritually exhausted, emotionally exhausted, right?
Yeah.
Every way possible, because you've taken your focus off of your power.
Right.
And you've given your power to the condition. Now, we get it. It can feel challenging. It can feel different to shift and say, I know what this piece of paper says. I know what this person says. But I say X, Y, Z. Right? And as long as you are externally focused, you will not hear the voice of God within you guiding you on what to do.
Right. And so the metaphysician always works from within outward. Once you just recognize, oh, I have a need. Oh, right. My kids need school clothes. Oh, I have, right? The first thing you do is not, what do I have in my bank account? I got a couple more checks. On that next check, I can take care of it. You don't do any of that, right? You do the mental work of remembering, I am one with all that is. I am a rich child of a rich universe.
I allow peace and prosperity to come to me.
Right.
Whatever the things are that will center you and bring you
Exactly.
back to stillness.
Exactly.
Because that is the only way. It could be that you have more hours at work, but it won't be through your efforting to get those hours.
Not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
It could be a whole bunch of the things that you've done before, but you approach them so differently. You're not begging for more hours. You walk in and the hours are given to you.
Exactly.
Right?
With ease.
It's a whole different perspective when you center yourself in yourself and your knowing.
I shared, I don't know if it was this year, I think it was last year in a sermon, right? I shared the process, the spiritual process that I moved through to move from poor credit to excellent credit. And what I did was I started within first,
Got to.
right? I started within first. Yes, then did I do physical things out here in the world to change my credit score? Absolutely.
Right.
But if I had not done that inner piece first, right, my activity wouldn't have been alive.
And when right, it wouldn't have been alive with the knowingness of truth.
Right.
It would have been, you would have been alive moving, but it would not have been alive and centered in your knowingness, right? You would have felt alone in your activity. And how many of us have been there, alone in our experience, alone in our problem, whatever it is, and thinking we have to figure it out on our own,
And that's when we act from fear and desperation.
right? Because God is the how. We get to ask for whatever we want.
And then allow the how.
And then allow the how to operate.
Right.
It might operate through you. It might also operate through someone you don't even know.
That's the meaning of let go and let God.
Right.
Let go and let the how.
And I get it. It can be hard to trust when you've, in your mind or experience, have been disappointed in your beliefs about God or by someone else. It can feel hard to trust that.
But this ain't that.
But this ain't that. My favorite saying, this ain't that.
And the last piece, this beautiful line from the text. Remember this, the door of the soul opens inward. Right? So you're all, let God, like, just let go, let God, open the door. Come in, God.
Come in and give me an
Let
answer
God
to this.
in, right?
Whatever you call God.
Right? I'm reminded in this moment, and shout out to the great Quincy Jones. There's a powerful birthday celebration for him. He's a Pisces, but they just had the wonderful celebration for him, his 90th birthday. And one of the things that he has always done in his career as a producer is he keeps a door cracked in the session to let God in. Right? He has an understanding. Oh, Lord, I love that man.
The ritual and the
Right?
symbolism of that.
But he understands that, right? So he keeps a door cracked. He's like, we gotta keep the door open to let God in.
Right. My Pisces brother.
So something amazing, so the miracle can happen. And of course we, know all of the miraculous music that he has put his hands on, right? It's powerful. Powerful. He also says to remember that you are a terminal, right? That it's God, it's something operating through you. You are not the thing, right? And so, you want to know the secret to a success. That's it, right? So now let's talk about your action plan, right? How do we now make this actionable? I'm going to give you a set of questions. These are some things you may sit with throughout the week. You're probably going to want to come back to this, or you can screenshot them if you're whatever device you're watching on. But the first thing is to just survey your current life experience, right? What's going on, right? What's the loudest, right? There may be some pain, right? What is that, right? There may be an unwanted thing. The interesting thing, I keep coming back to this story, and PY and I were talking about it last week. When I was in the 4Ts class and we were at the point where we were supposed to share our prayers with everyone, and again, I had a prayer. I thought I knew what I was praying about, for all these wonderful things to come. And I had, just before I was getting ready to leave for that class, I received an email from someone that pissed me off. And I was pissed the whole subway ride to class. And I was sitting in class. I was annoyed and I was upset. And interestingly, several people in the class shared that their prayer had already been answered, and it was about healing contentious relationships. And it was the first time I realized, I was like, oh my God, thank you, God, for that moment of that email, because it brought it forward. Right? See, this is why we preach about what's standing in the way and what shows up is because I live it, I know it. And so that's what became clear to me, was like, oh, wow, this is what I have to work on. And then I had to check in. Am I willing to do this? Right? Because this is what my plan.
Right.
Survey your life experience. Right? And what's showing up right now. Now, maybe you don't have something that's painful or contentious or unwanted in that sense. And it could just be something, there's something calling me. I want to be this thing. I want to do this thing. I want to have this thing. All good. Right? And so then ask yourself, right, what is the one thing that you would like to change, right, from that vantage point of surveying? Now, as we answered the question earlier, then we need to tap into what are 3 thoughts or beliefs that created the thing or experience that you want to change. We don't want to delve deep into the problem.
No, we just, because it's important, right? Then you're not feeling like you're lying to yourself.
Exactly.
then you feel like you have acknowledged that part of you that is hurting or wanting or whatever, right? 3 things.
Right. And again, this is also important because the mental equivalent, we have to replace an equivalent, right? So there is a mental equivalent already playing. We're going to replace that. So this is why we need to be clear about what we're replacing, right?
Right.
Another way to think about this is you just name 3 reasons why you're not currently experiencing your goal, right? So if it is something that it is you want to create, maybe you have a powerful idea, something you want to implement in your business, well, why haven't you done it, right? What's going on? What's behind maybe the procrastination? Or you may have some fear about not being enough, or you may have fear about what other people will say, or external judgment, or you messed up in the past, you've made mistakes in the past, right? So again, wonderful. We can name these things because then we know what we're replacing. Okay. And so then we can be clear. What is the mental equivalent that we are releasing? What is the mental equivalent that we're replacing? And that echoes what we just read from the text, right? That we have to be clear about what that problem is. And this process is supporting us in releasing it. This
Right.
process is supporting us in replacing it.
Right.
Right.
What experience have we been having? What do we want to have now?
Because otherwise you'll have mixed results. I go back to money because this is something that we can all relate to and we've all moved through in many different ways, right? So, you want more money. You want an increase of $10,000 a month. But if you're not aware of the money story that needs to be replaced, even if you attract the 10,000,
You won't keep it.
You won't.
And,
right.
and it's not a gloom and doom. We're
No,
not trying to
no.
be, prophetic in a negative sense.
no.
We just understand how energy works,
Right.
how thought creates, and what you haven't created the container for mentally,
Mental equivalent, right? Yeah,
you won't be able to keep,
that's all.
right?
That's all.
Maybe you wanted a great relationship, but the container is one that is filled with trauma and drama, and I can't have it, right? So even if it showed up, you would unconsciously sabotage it, right?
Yep. And so that's why we have to be aware of that, right? And so then when we're aware of that, then we name what is the new mental equivalent we are building, right? And I love, thinking about relationships, because so often, folks just want to, I want a relationship, I want to be in a relationship, but they haven't really named what's the mental equivalent. I love that word, container, that they're building. I saw a meme on Instagram recently that was talking about, a lot of people aren't used to healthy relationships, and so they think it's boring.
Right.
Right. And it's not that, all relationships, good relationships still have their ups and downs. They still have their challenges. All of that is not like easy, it's easy every day. That's not the point. But if you are used to, from your past experience or from seeing that growing up, et cetera, the drama and all of that stuff, something within you is going to run away from what's really should be normal, right?
Right.
Right.
We're
The ease of-
creating a new normal in relationship.
Exactly.
Right. And it's not boring. It's just drama free.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So we got to be clear about that. What is the new mental equivalent that we're building, right? And then this question: what is one thing that you are willing to commit to daily to build your mental equivalent? It can be anything. This is an agreement with yourself, right?
Right.
You're not gonna get in trouble.
Right.
Ain't nobody gonna.
Ain't nobody checking,
Right?
see
No
if you
lightning
did it.
bolts gonna come down
Right.
on you, right?
PY and PG ain't gonna be upset if you don't do it, right?
No.
It's your mental equivalent. It's your thing that you want. I already have my list,
Yeah.
right? Don't make it so hard that you can't implement it.
Right. And so this is important, right? One mental equivalent, one thing that we're willing to commit to daily, right? Because that's the other part. Well, I'm going to read my affirmations and I'm going to pray affirmative prayer every day, and then I'm going to meditate, and then I'm going to go to yoga, and I'm right. It's like,
Right,
set yourself up to win.
right.
One thing that I am willing to commit to build my mental equivalent. to change my thought and keep it changed.
Right, and once that gets established, it's a habit, and it's no longer a thing you have to commit to, right? So that the repetition, it's no longer a thing you're I just do it, right? You just brush your teeth. I don't have to commit to brush my teeth, right?
Right. And so take some time this week, right? You want to come back to this action plan, you know, the questions that are here, because as we read in the text, right? Don't rush to, you know, oh, I got this good news, this good information, I'm excited about it. No, settle in, right? And then also be willing, as I had to be willing, to realize that, oh, the mental equivalent I need
Ain't
to
what I
build,
asked for.
right, to what I need to replace and what I need to build, although it may not look like what it is that I want, in truth, right, if I remove this thing, it's like removing a blockage in a drain. Right? It's like, I want water to flow, but I'm not trying to deal with a blockage. Well, how's water gonna flow if the blockage in the pipe isn't removed? I wasn't aware of it, but once I was made aware of it, then it's like, Greg, are you willing to do what's necessary to remove this blockage?
Right.
And also, wonderfully, I had my fellow students, I was hearing and seeing healed relationships were happening, situations that seemed impossible and improbable. Right? And so then I knew, like, oh, this is possible for me too. This is possible for me too.
You know, we thought about what to title this masterclass. We always try to come up, get what you want, using the power of your mind to shape your life.
Yep.
It's giving you the power to choose something and to create a plan to receive it.
Absolutely.
And it's all mental.
It's all mental.
Right, you ain't got to change nobody else's mind about what you want. You don't have to get agreement from anyone about what you want. You don't even have to check in with PY and PG. Is this the thing I should want?
Exactly.
It's get what you want. And as PG said, there might be something standing in the way of you getting it, but you wouldn't be able to get it anyway
Right.
without
Right.
moving that blockage out, right? There is nothing that you cannot be, do, or have. This is what my grandmother told me from the time that I was a little girl. There's nothing you cannot be, do, or have. There is nothing you cannot be, do, or have.
Yep. Yep.
It is one of those mantras that I have playing in my head at all times. Thank you, Mom. There's nothing.
Right. And the only thing that's required is to build the mental equivalent for it. That's all.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we trust that you will continue to use this wisdom and this truth in a powerful way. What we're going to do with next month's series is look at the life of an individual, right, who really embodied and created some wonderful things in his life, and we can see the principles that are at play, right, knowingly and unknowingly, right. And I'll give this to you now in case you want to watch it. Watch it
a couple times. It's good.
But yeah, so our series next month is inspired by the movie Flamin' Hot. The brother who invented the Flaming Hot brand, right, and led to Flaming Hot Cheetos and all the wonderful things that we have. Powerful story, powerful family, and there's so many metaphysical principles that played out in how he built the mental equivalent and created. So we're going to break those things down. That's going to be a wonderful sermon series. So if you haven't seen the movie, I encourage you to check it out. It is streaming on Disney Plus and on Hulu. I don't think it's in the theaters anymore. But if you don't have to watch it to be able to enjoy the sermon series next month.
But it's a good movie. And it's a great watch. If you are building your mental equivalent and watching certain things on TV, if you are starting to curate your library of what you allow into your consciousness, this is a good one. It's a fun one, and we always like to do something fun in the summer and show you that it's not so serious to create the life that you want.
Right.
It can be fun, and you can apply principle anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in this moment, it is time for giving. You see the information here on your screen. It's very easy to give to CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There's a $10 minimum for a text to give. But no matter which method you use, even if you choose to mail in a check, that's also possible. It's important that you give what feels good, because it is what's behind the giving that informs the cycle of the law of circulation. And so if we're giving from guilt and shame, even if we're giving, sort of by rote, right, and not having a conscious understanding of I'm participating in this flow of life, and not understanding that giving is just like exhaling. Exhaling prepares me to inhale, right? So giving sets me up to receive. That's a good word, right? And so that's the consciousness that we give from. And so when we give in that way, then we can affirm all the money that I use.
All the money that I use
Returns to me multiplied.
returns to me
In a
multiplied
never-ending cycle.
in a never-ending cycle
Of increase.
of increase
And enjoyment.
and enjoyment.
To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. Well, it is always wonderful to be here with each and every one of you. It is wonderful to teach and to share, and especially to this format, to do the masterclass, to really dig into the principles, to go through a text line by line.
That's a gift.
Yeah,
that we,
right, which
that
is
we
wonderful.
give to you guys, because we love you, and we love providing you with knowledge, but something that you can use. Right? Practical spirituality that you can use
Right. Yeah.
to create the life you want.
Yeah, and so these master classes will, this class along with the previous master classes will continue to be available. The playlist is on YouTube, and so you can check in, come back, reread, review, all of those good things as you deepen your own practice and understanding and living these principles and these teachings. So we trust that you will have an awesome remainder of your Sunday. We love you, and we are continuing to hold the best and know the best for you and see good for you. We look forward to many of you joining us on Wednesday for the prayer call. And if you're not able to join the prayer call, check out the recording, and then we'll all come together next Sunday for the weekend service. New month, new series.
New series, new
Yes,
meditation.
yes, all that
It's
good
going to be
stuff.
good.
All right. Bye for now.
Love you. Bye for now.